Hey, everybody knows it's important to stay dry. We've got an expert here to tell us how that's done and what you should be aware of. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Your Little Castle Show, highlighting those small businesses in our little planet here that are making a difference to show what it takes to help our community and make a little impact on what we're doing here. With us, we have an expert in the building today. Welcome to the studio, Mark Cooper. He's a senior project manager at Be Dry Solutions. Mark, welcome to the studio.
Happy to be here.
Well, when we talk about some of the important, the Midwest and St. Louis, boy, yesterday, torrential rains, it seemed like, last night.
In some spots, for sure. Yeah.
I was actually following, we have a family member who needs some help. So we went over to the house, and then my mom is now, she doesn't mind if I say, she's 82. And it starts pouring pretty steady rain. So I said, you know what, I'm going to turn around and follow my mom back. It was raining so hard. I just bought my Tesla. I'll be clear about my Tesla. And the Tesla will drive for you. Mm-hmm. Full self-driving. You got to watch it. You got to be supervised. It shut down. It was raining so hard. It said, hey, you got to take over.
Right.
Red lights flashing. This is the kind of rain we get periodically here. Is there any part of the country that's immune to that? Is that something that happens everywhere across the country?
I'm not all that familiar with other parts, but yeah, it doesn't seem like we get long, slow, steady rains like we used to. We get no rain forever, and then we get downpoured on drastically. So, I've lived here forever, so this is kind of the only environment I know.
Right. Yeah. So those rains. You guys are obviously with waterproofing. What is the biggest cause? Is it those torrential rains, or is it?
It can be.
What are the biggest causes for?
Yeah, I mean, it's just ultimately it's the oversaturation of the area around the foundation. So we tell homeowners all the time, keep your gutters clean, keep your downspouts extended at least 6 feet away from the foundation of the house, and as much as you can, keep a positive slope away. Over and above that, if you're going to have a basement water issue, something has to be fixed. So that's kind of where we come in.
There you go. Yeah, and water can cause all kinds of problems. You start talking about mold and walls decaying and et cetera, then you get into some big issues. Why did you decide to get into this industry? You've been doing this for 23 years now. Why did you decide to stay in the waterproofing industry?
I got into it because I needed a job.
Right.
I've stayed in it because it's pretty rewarding to kind of help people solve problems, fix their house. It's a new situation every single day. Every house I walk into is a new situation. So I'm not stuck behind a desk and have a lot of freedom because of that. So yeah, that's kind of why I love it, dealing with people.
And now you've been with Be Dry for 12 years, you said?
12, 13 years.
Almost
yeah,
13, okay.
something like that. Mm-hmm.
And tell me what you appreciate about Be Dry and why you've stayed there so
long. I've kind of told people over the years that there's a lot of competition in our area, and there's a lot of companies that are sales companies that do basement waterproofing, and I feel like we are a customer service company that also does basement waterproofing. So
okay.
We kind of specialize everything for each individual homeowner based on what they want, what they need, what the physical problems are, what they want to accomplish, and at the end of the day, what they want to spend. So yeah, it's not a square peg, round hole, but we have a lot of competitors that will come in and just try to sell everything that they can possibly sell and kind of leave the scorched earth kind of situation, and we just don't believe in doing business that way. So,
yeah, I say this is a pretty stressful situation for a lot of people. They've had an intrusion of water somewhere in their house. It's going to cause big problems if they don't get it resolved. They can't live in their house a lot of times while this is going on, depending where the water's made it into their house.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can end up with a lot of other issues, like you said, mold. If you have anybody in the house with asthma, allergies, it affects that quite a bit. And yeah, I mean, I see people a lot on really bad days, after they've gone through something that's, catastrophic and sometimes very traumatic for people. And, if you have a basement, if you have a ranch style house, it's half your mortgage. If you have a 2-story house, it's a third of your mortgage. And to have it not be able to be usable because of the water in it is just, you're undervaluing your property.
Yeah, the most valuable asset just about everybody owns, and if they have an issue like this, they can cause problems. How severe does it get? Does it get, because it comes in the basement? Can it be a sewer backed up? Can it be just water that came in from extensive rain? But is it also does it come in? How high up can water go in? It depends where the water comes from, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the source is, for sure. We don't do anything really with sewer situations. We will refer that to plumbers. That's usually a plumbing issue. But I've seen houses over the years that people go out of town and they have a water line that breaks, and it will fill up and it will pour out of the basement windows, and it's not obviously ideal. But what we kind of fix is groundwater situations. Again, if it's leaking in your house and it hasn't been raining, that's probably not something we fix. If it's leaking in your house after it rains, then that's something we take care of.
Okay, yeah, and these are the times when we see those, like we said, torrential rainstorms that have caused a lot of damage here. And it's interesting you mentioned that, because I hadn't noticed that, but yeah, often we got kind of a soft rain. I remember as a kid, you could almost play in the rain. It was fun. If you kind of felt cool, warm you up, cool you off. But these days, it's just like, seems like it's all or nothing kind of deal.
Yeah.
What do you think has changed in our environment? Is the government in charge?
It could be that they're producing that. Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to get out a tinfoil hat to kind of figure out why the weather patterns have changed, and I'm not going to discriminate half of our potential buying public with theories, but for whatever reason it has, and it just doesn't seem like you get just kind of, like I said, those long, slow soaking rains. Everything comes at one time. I feel like last year we had no rain for an extended period of time, and then when we would get it, we'd get 4 inches in 24 hours, and then we wouldn't get it again, and then we'd get 6 inches in 36 hours, and it just seems like recently that's the way the pattern goes. And so yeah, that's what causes phones to ring and people to be really, really ecstatic whenever you get those large amounts of water quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the government is controlling the weather, they're not doing a very good job.
No, they can certainly make it a little more moderate, would be helpful.
There's times when it's just like, we need some rain, and there's other times it's like, wait a minute, turn it off. We don't. This is impacting our watching the Cardinal game. We were at the game the other day, and it was raining during the game. Turn it off. But obviously, there's a lot to do to nature there that impacts what we're doing. Tell me a little bit about your team. You're the senior project manager, but who all helps you to get the job done there?
Yeah, I mean, we have a full office staff. If you call our office during normal business hours, you're going to speak to a human being. So that's something we kind of pride ourselves on. You're not going to have to go through a lot of prompts. Somebody's going to answer the phone. So we got a few people working in there, and then we have a crew of guys, several crews of guys that are out installing these jobs every day in some really nice basements and in some really rough crawl spaces, and those guys work hard. Those are kind of those are the backbone of kind of what we do, are the guys that put this in every day. So, and then we have a couple guys that service our area that do what I do. We cover, like I said, from I-80 up by Chicago all the way down to Paducah, Kentucky, and then essentially the entire state of Missouri. So,
yeah, you said B-Dry has been around now collectively. How many years total?
Yeah, we've been around locally, our office, since 1983, and B-Dry has been around nationwide since 1958. They're actually the longest standing, as far as I know, longest standing waterproofing company in the country, and we are, again, from what research I can do, we are the longest standing waterproofing company locally. So, yeah.
Well, it's good to see you. You're based out of Highland, Illinois, not too far from, what does it take, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get downtown?
Yeah, we're actually, from where we're sitting here in your studio, we're probably closer to the Arch than you are. Okay. So it is funny that when we cross the river in some spots, especially when we get out St. Charles, St. Peter's, O'Fallon, people look at us like we had to have a passport to get in. And it's like, well, if we raced to the Arch, we would get there and we'd be waiting for you for 20 or 30 minutes before you got there. But yeah, we're not, Highland, Illinois is not far, probably 25, 30 miles from downtown St. Louis.
Okay. And your office services, you say all the way up towards Chicago? What's the region and where?
Yeah, we kind of tell people I-80 is the cutoff. We don't really go north of I-80. And then we go, like I said, all the way down to Paducah, Kentucky. And then on the Missouri side, we are actually the westernmost B-Dry dealer. So I guess technically we could go as far west as we wanted. We'll go out to Lake of the Ozarks and Fulton and out to Rolla. And, if we need to, we'll go out to Springfield, Missouri, and all the way out that way. But yeah, we kind of 3 to 4 hours from that Highland office is usually about the extent of our radius.
And what are some of the biggest rivers? Are the rivers some of the biggest contributor here? Or are they're where the runoff ends up? Or how do you figure out the water issues, and how does that kind of...
Yeah, that's a good question. No, it really has little to do with the rivers unless the rivers are flooding. It's more about the construction of the house. Typically, holes are dug in the earth, house is put in the middle of it, and then a backfill around it. And what people don't understand is, even if you have a really great slope, I see people all the time that live on top of a hill and their basement leaks and they can't figure it out.
Right.
Well, they cut into the earth to put the basement in it. So even if you have a good positive slope, there was an area that was overdug. And that area that was overdug is the backfill, and that backfill becomes saturated because water will travel through it faster than it does the virgin soil that's never been dug up. So depending upon how long you believe the earth has been here, that's how long the soil outside the backfill has been there, and then the soil that was backfilled has been backfilled however long the house has been there. So, so yeah, it's that saturation of the backfill inside the clay that we have, which is another big contributing factor that causes basement waterproofing and foundation issues.
Yeah, I say there's some people that they may not realize that they are susceptible. I live on a hill, and I was like, but behind me, down 50 yards below me, 30 yards below me, is where the runoff, the sewer, the subdivision drain is, if you will, and they've got a little system down there. But when it rains too hard, it's weird because I've had times for one time, and I didn't have a sub pump forever because I didn't think I needed one. And one time I had about an inch of water, and it was because it's just the water's coming down faster, and it explains why that happens. Then it could just run by and build up in my house because my house was dug into where it would settle. So.
For sure, yeah, and there's a lot of subdivisions and areas that are built, especially out here, newer subdivisions and things, that you end up with, everything is graded to run to some sort of runoff, whether it's a holding pond or storm sewers or whatever, and then it just takes one person in the neighborhood to decide they want to build their yard up a little bit, and then they build their yard up, and then that blocks all that flow of water and creates havoc for everybody else around them. So yeah, just be cognizant of the design of how the water was supposed to flow originally when the subdivision was built is one thing I would recommend to people too. Sure.
Okay, something a lot of people don't realize. When you say build up, are they putting up a retaining wall or something?
They can do all kinds of things. They don't like the slope of the yard. They don't like the pitch of the yard. They want to put a retaining wall in. They want to put a pool in. That's a pretty common one. Yeah. Put a pool in. They usually lift the ground up and then kind of shed the water off the pool. Well, oftentimes if you lift it up too much, you could block, a whole street worth of water that used to flow through the backyard now can't flow through the backyard, and that goes somewhere. Water's going to find the path of least resistance. I kind of jokingly tell customers all the time, water cut the Grand Canyon. You're not going to be able to stop it with the magic spray stuff that floats the boat across the screen door boat across the pond. So yeah, you're going to have to, the only way to control water is to actually control it, to move it from one area to the other.
Well said. And then dealing with it afterwards, you guys can make sure to keep that from happening again.
Yeah, that's what we do. Most everything we do comes with lifetime warranties, and once we fix it, it's done. It's done forever. So.
There you go. Good stuff. What about this fills your passion for what you could makes you wake up every day?
Like I said, the thing that I love most about it is I get to do something different every day. I get to meet all kinds of new and interesting people, and when I was younger, I was told that the best way to learn is to talk to people, and I get to talk to new people every day. And so that's it's really cool to see people from different backgrounds and experiences and education levels and financial situations that just kind of learn about their life and how they got to where they're at. And I spend probably more time talking to people about lives than I do about basement waterproofing, but it's awesome.
Yeah, that's the kind of key parts about any business is you get to know the people behind it, the people involved, and to understand what they're dealing with and what they're going through. With that, it leads to a great point here. You guys have got almost all, a large majority, five-star reviews, 89 reviews, and I'm going to put these up on the wall for people to take a look at, but I mean, gee, it's a lot of work to get this many reviews, and if you just look at some of these, it's hard to find anybody who didn't have wonderful things to say, but I'm going to stop right here. Mark Taylor and his crew working in my home. All I care is to say thank you. Not only did they do a fantastic job, they did it done in one day. They were very careful around the surroundings that were given, working close to the gas line. They took great precautions. Mark and his team went above and beyond to make it. There you go. What's it like having people saying those kinds of nice things about you?
Yeah, it's really
reviews.
It's cool. It's cool to go in and look at them. I mean, it's a when you're dealing with the public, it's a double-edged sword. There are some people that you will make super happy like this, and they go on and they say glowing things about you, and that's awesome. But then there's people that, because I'm the face of what we do, that there's always going to be people that, in our opinion, ask for things that are unrealistic, and unfortunately, most of our negative reviews are just communication. It's somebody that thought they had something that was different than what they had, or a problem that was communicated to us that we repaired, and then they had a different problem. And so, yeah, I mean, it's because I'm the face of the company. If somebody wants something done that that needs to change differently than what we did for them before, I'm the guy who usually takes care of it, and whether that's positive or negative, it is what it is. But yeah, to help new people and kind of see that kind of stuff about us it's fun. Yeah, it's a good thing.
There you go. Yeah, like I said, and periodically it seems like every problem I might make my joke with my college buddies. It's like, Carter, you're just a communications guy. We're lawyers and accountants and all this down at St. Louis University. And I said, well, I found out the communication is probably one of the most important components, because all the other stuff doesn't matter if you're not getting the great communication across to everybody. But wonderful things people say about you there, and it's good to see that. With that, we'll share with you some of the fun we partake in the community. We went down to spring training for the Cardinals this year, everybody. So take a gander here, and we'll be back here in just a minute.
All right, we've got Matt, Scarlett, Aaron, and Violet all here. Did I get them right? That's right.
Yeah.
All right. They're the Reeves family.
That's right.
Hey, my buddy Brian Reeves. Where you at, man? Brian played some baseball. Supposed to be related somehow.
Yeah.
Matt, tell me, what do you like to hear about the spring training? at
Peak baseball experience. If you love baseball, spring training's the place to be.
Yeah.
There it is. What about you?
I just love the Take Me Out to the Ball Game song.
Oh, yeah.
Take me
And-
out to the ball.
And we
Scarlett.
get the ball sign.
Oh,
We got
Scarlett.
Newt.
Yeah, new bar this year. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Thank
So
you, Lars.
Newt's here.
Yes.
All right.
Just
Aaron,
love,
what do
I
you-
like that it's more intimate and you can be closer to the field and the players are all excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that,
The
Violet.
weather's also really nice, and I like how nobody's ever stressed because it's just spring training. you
That's
know?
right. We were
Everybody's-
losing today, but go ahead. But we had fun anyway.
We
Yeah.
still had fun.
We did,
All right,
yeah.
you guys. Well, how many times have you been down to spring training?
This is number two. This is number two for us. Hopefully, second of many.
There we go.
Yeah. How about you?
Annual. This is like my fourth time down here,
Nice.
third in a row. We did once back in the day. Brought Dad down here. Dad's up in baseball heaven now, and we come down every year.
bless him.
But yeah, baseball
Are you
gave us.
St. Louis?
I'm a St. Louis. I'm the Cardinal Cowboy in St. Louis.
You are? Do you still live there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Have you
nice.
seen me running around there?
Yes.
Okay, there
Just
we go.
making sure you're still there.
That's me. That's right. Still in St. Louis. All right, everybody. On the count of three, let's go Cardinals.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Let's go Cardinals!
Giddy up.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up.
By now, we are on ABC 5 times a week. So many businesses are loving what we're doing to help them get their name out there. We'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you, and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com, and if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. Takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show. And there's no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Professional video on your website closes more sales by instantly building trust, clearly explaining complex products, and keeping visitors engaged longer. Reducing bounce rate by 34%. It'll help you to gain that credibility, increase engagement, simplify complex tasks, lower your sales friction, and boost your rankings on the search engine. So this is all kind of a no-brainer. See how we've now had over 500 interviews and now almost 250 different business owners. Go to bigleagues.com. That's BIGGLEAGUES.com. Go to bigleagues.com and get signed up. Schedule right from there.
And we're back, everybody, and talk a little bit about the story, and then the rest is history. I said I'm going to go to the games, wear the Cardinal Cowboy outfit, and try to inspire and entertain a little bit our community. So tell me a little bit, though, what is it? There's so many people, as a numbers guy, a baseball guy, I like numbers, but give me a cost analysis. A lot of people that are like, oh, this isn't as bad as it may seem, or oh, I could take care of this myself, or my brother-in-law can fix this. Mm-hmm. What are some of the reasons? Why should somebody get this done professionally?
Yeah, so the longer it goes, the worse it's going to get, and oftentimes the worse it gets, the more it costs. Not always the case, but for a foundation repair situation, for sure. If you have a wall bowing in and you just kind of let it go, it's going to continue to bow. And I tell people, if a wall starts to bow, there's two eventual outcomes. You stop it from bowing, or it falls down. And those are the only two eventual outcomes. It's just a matter of which one you choose to do. So a lot of people get hesitant because they're worried about the cost, or they're worried about this or that. There's really, if you're ever deciding you want your basement dry, there's not a better time to do it than today. If you decide you want to fix the foundation, there's not a better time to do it than today. It's only going to cost more tomorrow or next month or next year. So just go out, get your estimates, make a decision, and kind of go. There's a lot of us that do this kind of work around the area, so you can always find somebody that can certainly help you. It's just a matter of choosing the right contractor.
Yeah, with the experience you guys got, this is not something you want to take lightly. There's people's houses that can be condemned if their foundation falls in on them.
For sure.
And then they're talking major, or just tearing a house down to reconstruct. And you don't want to wait that long.
Oftentimes, the cost for repair is way less expensive than the cost for replacement. So if you can save a foundation, it's much more cost effective for a homeowner than it is to completely replace a foundation.
There you go, everybody. Write that down. Get it fixed early, because these things, and I'm thinking about a neighbor who, that's what he did for a living, and he talked about it, because these repairs get expensive. These are talking about cement walls that are starting to flex. That's cement. It's not designed to flex much.
No, it's not.
A wall collapse, and you're gonna have some big problems.
And it's like I said, it's very, very expensive to repair. A lot of times, 3 to 4 times expensive to replace than it is to repair. At least with what we charge. So, but we also offer what we call a price assurance guarantee, that you won't find another contractor doing same work, same warranties for less cost than what we'll do it. We've been around, like I said earlier, longer than anybody else locally, longer than anybody else nationally, and we have lifetime warranties. So I've always kind of told people, if you're going to make your decision on this project that has anything to do with your project, other than, hey, Mark wore shorts out to my appointment, I'd prefer somebody that wore pants. Okay, that doesn't really have anything to do with your project, but yeah, if you're going to make it based on something that have to do with your project specifically, it's ultimately going to point you back to us. There you go. It's almost no reason why they shouldn't choose you guys. We try to make it easy, yeah, for sure. Everything you bring to the table there. Well, to tell me, reiterate if you would, why should somebody choose you? What specifically? Guaranteed lowest price, best guarantee. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else anybody should ask for? No, like I said, if you're looking for, you don't want a fly-by-night company, because that's a big thing. We see people pop up in this industry, especially when it's raining. They pop up, they do some waterproofing jobs, and then they go out of business. And they promised all these people lifetime warranties, but lifetime warranty is only as good as the company that's giving it to you. And so, like I said, B-Dry's been around locally here since '83 and nationwide since 1958. That can't be matched. We offer it to you at the best price, so that can't be matched, as long as we're comparing apples to apples. I do have people that will call and say, oh, well, I got a bid from Joe Blow's Contracting, and it's a little bit cheaper than yours. And then we sit down and we look at them, and we were doing the entire basement, and Joe Blow was doing half the basement. And it's like, right. Well, okay, well, if I do half the basement, well, suddenly we're cheaper than they are. So, it's one of those things where we're not a non-for-profit. Like, we are a for-profit business, but we don't have to make it all from each individual customer. And I think some of our competitors have kind of lost their way in that situation. They look at it as every opportunity to sell as an opportunity to sell as much as you can. And we just don't believe, like I said, in doing business that way.
Yeah, we've heard those horror stories, if you will. They say there's a little bit of a repair that needs to be done, and it can be done for inexpensive, but they'll say, hey, let's sell the whole thing and get them the,
For sure.
the full job that they don't really need.
Yeah, for sure. If we come out to your house and you have a wall crack that's leaking, we'll tell you about fixing the wall crack. We're not going to try to sell you something that you don't need. And you know, consumers are getting smarter, and so they're understanding more about how advertising works and how this works and how that works. And you know, having somebody come out and tell you that this is a logical repair whenever you're not actually repairing it logically is something that they're getting better at. So we still get a ton of our business from word of mouth. We don't do nearly as much advertising. You know, we don't have a celebrity spokesperson. That's me. That's lit. That's it. Like, I'm the guy. So we don't have a celebrity spokesperson. We don't have, you know, any of those other big contracts. So our overhead is low. And so that allows us the ability to kind of give those price assurances.
Well said. Sounds like you guys have worked a wonderful business here together that really has it kind of covered from all angles. And one more piece to talk about: insurance, bonded, secured, certifications. No real certifications. This isn't a regulated industry. So tell me a little bit about that. Why people
Yeah,
you guys?
that is that's kind of the dirty little secret in our industry is there are no regulations. And so, you know, if you call the electrician out, or you call 3 electricians out to give you bids, and you know, they're all going to have to use the same kind of wire and hook it up to the panel the same way and use the same kind of boxes, and same thing with a plumber, they're going to have to use the same kind of pipe and run it the same way with the same amount of pitch, because there's building codes that say this is how it has to be done. For basement waterproofing and foundation repair, unfortunately, there are no real codes for that for repair. You know, there's codes for building foundations, but there's no real codes for repairing foundations. And so, you know, if you decided, hey, I'm going to put a magnet on my car and I'm going to be a waterproofer now, okay, once you buy the magnet, you're ready to go. Like, there's nothing else to stop you. And so that's why I said earlier, we do see people that, you know, we see deck contractors and fence contractors. When those businesses get a little slow, they decide, well, we'll do some waterproofing. And then they do some jobs, and then they go out of business, and then the warranties for those folks are gone. And so, it's one of those situations where you need to make sure you're dealing with a reputable company that's been around for a while and is going to be there to take care of you when you do have an issue.
That's what we're looking for. As we finish up here, we got a minute left here. I'm going to see if Mark will stick around for a little longer, talk a little bit more. We've got another half-hour slot I can fill with him. His wisdom here. He's got some great knowledge here. Benefits of working with you guys as a small business. Why do you think that's important to the owner?
Well, I report directly to the owners. This morning I had meetings, and we go over all of our stuff that was going to be installed next week, so our guys see it, they see pictures of it, and we go over all the stuff that was sold the previous week so that they see kind of pictures of everything twice. So we want to make sure we don't miss anything on our part. But if there's an issue, I am the communication for every customer that I deal with, and then I report directly to the owner. So there's no 4, 5, 6 layers of middle management that has to be gone through for a customer to get a decision from somebody that has a value.
There you have it, everybody. Stay tuned. This is your Little Castle Show.